How I came to know Mr. Mkhwanazi is that, as reflected on my statement, that on the 30th of September, I received a WhatsApp message, and this WhatsApp message came from a person who described himself as he sent me the message on the 3rd of September, where he indicated...
Sorry, General, can I interrupt you?
Yes, sir.
Just remember that the proceedings are transcribed. So when you say 30 September, give the year also.
The year, okay.
Was it 2023 or 2024?
Yeah, no, thanks, Commissioner. My apologies for that. This was on the 30th of September, 2024, when Mr. Mkhwanazi sent me a WhatsApp regarding an allegation of defeating the ends of justice matter, which were widely publicized in the media, arising from an incident that had occurred in a correctional facility in Richards Bay, in Etimpangeni, I beg your pardon, in KZN. However, when he communicated with me, there was no media coverage yet. So he was the first one to initiate this, which later there was a media coverage. And because I wanted to establish whether this person who is in possession of information about an incident that happened at the police station, how close he is with the Minister of Police.
General, I apologize through you, Commissioners. I just conferred with my junior, and it would seem like you sound less audible today than you have in the past 2 days. So perhaps it might require you to bring the mic closer to you.
All right.
Thank you.
Forgive me, Commissioners. I've been trying to speak English for more than 48 hours now, so it's... So I'm going to try to be audible, but what I did was to confirm whether this number indeed of this person who claims to be Mkhwanazi, although the Chief of Staff had confirmed, I needed to verify whether does this phone number belongs to the person that the Chief of Staff confirms that is Mkhwanazi. So I got a number tested, and it confirmed that it's registered on his name. So then I had no doubt that it's a right person. You'll see that I have saved him with that name because it's a name that he gave me. What the communication that Mkhwanazi sent to me had contained some attachments, which the first one was on the 30th, the message, but this is where he was introducing himself as to who the person is, and that there was this attempt to discredit me. And that was his word, an internal attempt to discredit you through a defeating the end case.
Please read that text as is into the record, General.
If I invite the commissioners maybe to go to this annexure as we had referred to.
MK17,
MK17,
General.
starting specifically on page 313. I'm going to read it on the record. The 30th of September, the first message came in at 16:14, followed by another one at 16:17 in the afternoon. It reads as follows: My General, Mkhwanazi from Northwest. An internal attempt to discredit you through a defeating the end case. And it ended there. And then the following message came on the 1st of October, 2024. This was the following day after the first one. I responded to him, not the message. I responded to him in the morning after seeing the message. My response was, morning, sir, what are you talking about? What defeating case are you referring to? And who is behind that? So this message was sent at 7:44 in the morning, me responding to him. And then he responded, a short message, thanks. And shortly after that, this was at same day at 7:44, almost immediately as after sending my message. And he then attached 2 documents. And these documents that he attached was a letter, a police letter, which is written here on Annexure KZN factual report. So it's a letter that he attached. And after that, he attached, if the commissioner's page to the next, next page 314, it's just a continuing of the screenshot. That big one, it's a copy of the occurrence book in the South African Police Service. That's where we report incidents in the police station. So he sent me the copy of this, and the content of the occurrence book and the factual report were exactly the same. And it surprised me because these are documents of the police, and a person who's not in the police should not be in possession of this. He's from Northwest, but he is in possession of a copy of the occurrence book from Mpangeni in KZN. There's no flights from Northwest to Mpangeni. So if for him to get there, we'll have to take 2 flights at least for him to go and get the copy of this OB, as well as the letter that he attached. And if I invite the commissioners to go further, this is before I respond. There are further communication that is sent.
Before you go on, I do see that after his thanks, there was indeed an attachment. You have said that the attachment was a letter. What did the letter say?
The letter was basically a report, a draft report, which has a similar content to what is attached at the bottom, which was talking about an incident that has happened and my advice to the police officer that was in charge on the scene. I will explain it later, I will get into the details later on my statement to narrate actually what happened at Mpangeni that led into this. But for now, I thought I must just highlight for now that there was this communication that came through with only this attachment. And the next attachment, the next message that he sent me was on the same day at 7:51 in the morning. He wrote, please handle confidentially. A meeting with the complainant will revert. So I still was confused. Then the next message shortly after that at 8:37, I'm in Lusikisiki today. That's in the morning. And the following one came at 19 minutes past 9 in the morning on the same day. And he says, General Khumalo, the DIVCOM, that stands for Divisional Commissioner, that's how we write it in the police, the DIVCOM, just check your standing with him. Yesterday, he pushed a negative narrative about you.
With him. Just check your standing with him.
Yeah. Just check your standing with him. Yesterday, he pushed a negative narrative about you on the CITs in KZN. Again, the same complainant spoke with him.
General, so before you leave that, do you know what the abbreviation CIT stands for?
The CIT stands for cash in transit.
Thank you.
That's a terminology that we use. And KZN, of course, is a province of KwaZulu-Natal. You'll notice this is a WhatsApp writing style. So you won't write I am, you will say M, which would mean you have to understand that it's the youngsters writing language on WhatsApp. It's not the real English, but yeah, it is. And in the following page, Commissioners, I'm continuing with the communications that that Mr. Brown Mkhwanazi continued to send me. He sent me these further screenshots, which included the screenshot of a presentation that was made, that's before the screenshot, the message that was, as I said, that he said, I must check my standing with General Khumalo. And immediately after that, he sent a screenshot at 9:20 in the morning. And I must say, it might not be clear on the attachment, Commissioners, but that screenshot is written a year and the name of the division, Division Crime Intelligence, policies for 2024-2025. I think if we get a clearer print, I will see that. So as you can see, it's a picture that was taken in an angle. Someone took a photo of the presentation as it was made. He took it with a cell phone, and whether it was him present in the meeting or someone who was in that meeting, by reading the heading of what the presentation on the projector says, is definitely issues of crime intelligence, that only people that supposed to have a knowledge about crime intelligence policies and the likes should be part of this presentation. And the following message that he sent me 2 minutes later, he then says, I hope you understand.
Before you go on, General, did you get to know whether there had indeed been such a presentation?
I did confirm with the Divisional Commissioner of Crime Intelligence, and he did confirm that there was a presentation that was made a day before this screenshot was sent. So, and he confirmed that Mkhwanazi was not in that meeting. The people that were in the meeting is a minister and some of the minister's staff and the only management of crime intelligence. Only the senior management of crime intelligence that were in that meeting. So it is one of the people that was in that meeting that took the screenshot and sent it, of course, to Mkhwanazi. Hence he forwarded this thing to me. And his last message was, I hope you understand, will revert confidentially is key here. That was his word. I hope you understand, will revert confidentiality is key here. So hence I say, commissioners, that this meant one of the two things, that either Mkhwanazi was part of the meeting or a senior person, either from the police or from the ministry that was in that meeting, shared this meeting with this Mkhwanazi. And that was a concern for me, because a person who's not a police officer, even worse, a person who's not working at crime intelligence, will sit in such a meeting and be able to take copies of presentations. And, or alternatively, someone from... No, you are safe, Commissioners.
Apologies, Chair.
As technology, it happens.
We were trying to get this shot on the screen because we're not so sure if it is legible in your copy. And that is how. We're not so sure whether it's as legible in your copies that is how it reads. And now
Thank you. General, maybe you will get to this. If you will, then you don't have to answer now. But do you have any idea why Mr. Mkhwanazi would have wanted to warn you that there was an attempt to discredit you?
Commissioner, I had no idea at the time. But as the time progresses, as I was asking myself these questions, it became clear what could be the motive for it, which I will explain it later, what made me think that could be the reason why he made contact with me.
Oh, thank you.
Yes,
Please
sir.
Continue.
So then I had an opportunity to respond to him on the issue of the defeating case. As you'll see there on 316 at the bottom of the page, and it continues on 317, and I was basically explaining to him of what actually transpired at correctional services that resulted in the copy of that occurrence book, because it was my advice to the police officer, senior officer in charge of the operation, on how to handle that incident that had occurred at crime intelligence, while making sure that the ends of justice are realized, the proper investigation is done, and we don't attract an illegal litigation against the organization by arresting the wrong person. So that was my guidance to him, and I explained to Mr. Mkhwanazi. So as, I'm not going to bore you by reading everything, but it is safe to indicate that an officer from correctional facility, although the media captured it wrong and they said it was Westville, it was not Westville. It was a correctional facility called Kalagabusha at Impangeni, where the acting head of the facility was accused of selling drugs and and was accused of being in possession of ammunition. I must say that what made me to intervene is because that incident, or the drugs and the ammunition that was not found in her possession, but was found outside the house where she was staying, which is a state house, which is within the state facility. So, but I will explain it more in details later. That's what made me ask questions and say, but you can't detain a person if you have not confirmed that this belongs to this person. It's like stopping a car driving, and there are 2 or 3 occupants in a vehicle or a taxi or whatever. You see a firearm inside and you arrest the driver. First, you have to investigate, to touch DNA, confirm who probably might have touched this firearm. Then you can be able to confirm who does it belong to before you can arrest a person. It does not automatically mean that what you find in the area will belong to a person that resides in that facility. It could be anyone else that you've placed it.
The explanation that you gave, Mr. Brown Mkhwanazi, is quite long, spanning more than a page, as reflected in the annexures. Can you explain why you felt obliged to give Mr. Brown Mkhwanazi an explanation at all? Why do you owe him an explanation?
Commissioner, I sense that when I established this man is close to the minister, and then he gives me this thing, so which means there is someone somewhere that is planning something. It could be maybe the minister is under impression that I'm involved in the wrong, knowing for a fact that the minister stays few kilometers away from the police station and that prison. That's where his residence is. So I felt, let me provide this information because this person says close to the minister, and he had said he's with the minister at Lusikisiki, of which when I checked with the Chief of Staff said the minister is indeed at Lusikisiki, but he did not say anything about Mkhwanazi. I tried to investigate to establish whether I was indeed with the minister at Lusikisiki or not. But I felt that let me provide a little bit more explanation to him so that the minister can have a picture. If indeed he was sent by the minister to communicate this to me, let him have a picture of what is going on in that place. I can summarize maybe some of the things that are sitting in this text. That I had said when I started 2 days ago, that according to the Constitution and the law, I have a responsibility of managing the police in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. So it is expected of me and the men and women that are working in that province to make sure that we discharge our duties according to what the Constitution and the law is expecting from us. And therefore, it happened at one stage that there is a company in KZN that is called Richards Bay Minerals. It's a big company that does sand mining. There were incidents that had happened in that facility, in that company, that led into murders of some of the executives. And when it happened, there was a meeting that took place, which I attended together with the Premier at the time, and the Minister of Minerals and Energy, Minister Gwede Matashe, was in attendance in that meeting. So he actually convened the meeting. He wanted to engage with the communities because quite a lot of mining companies that are situated in Richards Bay. So during the presentation and then meeting, it came out that there are cases from RPM that involve executives in RPM that has not been solved. And the business people were sharing their frustration to the minister about the lack of police, efficiency in dealing with the investigations of those cases there. I then, because I was present as a provincial commissioner, I had to take responsibility for that. I didn't need to have the minister telling me that Jerome Mkhwanazi do something about this. I was present, and the minister is listening, and it took us with, the Premier is present. So I took it upon myself to make sure that I prioritize the investigation of these cases. I then went back to the office. I deployed the team. This was 2021. I deployed the team to Richards Bay. And the team is made out of detectives and the tactical team that must protect the detectives because the complaint seems to was around the tenders, business forums and all those things that are happening in the area. So I had to put the detectives together and have this team that is going to protect these detectives. So I paid out of the budget that was not budgeted for. If you recall, Commissioner, we spoke about teams that we can deploy ourselves as provincial commissioners. So I took it from the operational budget of KZN without telling the national commissioner, so I sent a team there. I accommodated them in the area there at Richards Bay, so I had to pay subsistence allowances and everything else. Theirs was to investigate those dockets. We were about roughly 5 or so case dockets. They stayed in Richards Bay for the whole 12 months. In that period, they couldn't crack that case, those cases. And they were only assigned for that. They could not get us results. So on quarterly basis, I'm getting reports. They are doing a lot of successes. There's a lot of arrests and cases going to court, convictions, but it's not about these, which their mission is. Go and deal with these dockets and finalize them. So they're not resolving any of those dockets. Although I must say, commissioners, that they did arrest one person who was linked with the mayor of the executive of RPM. They arrested a person, he was taken to court, and he applied for bail. The modus operandi, as we know, that when the criminal or hitman is involved, someone is going to pay the lawyers to defend, to make sure this person goes out on bail. Which I think some of the weaknesses in our system, that we don't ask questions, that you are unemployed, but you are affording a very expensive senior counsel to represent you on a bail matter. We opposed bail, and that person was released. As soon as he left our facilities, they killed him. And he was a link to take us higher the rank as to who would have sent him. But they killed him. So that case almost did not go far. But majority of the cases that the team ended up achieving were cases that of theft and the likes that were happening within RPM. So what will then happen is RPM, if there's a loss of something, that the theft of something, they go to a police station, they go with these detectives. When they arrive at the police station, open a case of theft, the detective will take this docket and investigate it and arrest, convict. Another theft comes in. So they end up having successes of RPM that's got nothing to do with what they are sent there for. So they became like a police unit for RPM. So as I was monitoring this, and I said to them, your mission was simple. Deal with a few cases, crack them, and then come back. But you are showing me successes of something that unrelated to what you were sent there for. So I cannot be spending money to have you there. Come back with those dockets. You will work from Durban. Durban and Richards Bay, it's an hour-and-a-half drive. So they could investigate while in Durban. So I brought them back. Little did I know, Commissioner, that this RPM has got contacts in a high level of our country, of our government. Because what followed after that was a call that I received from my boss, the National Commissioner, who said to me, but I hear that you had deployed people in Richards Bay and you withdrew them. I said, yes, I deployed them there for a mission. They didn't achieve the mission. A year later, I brought them back, and they are still carrying those investigations, but from my office. Then he said, no, I received a complaint from the presidency. You must send these people back there. So I said, okay, well, I don't mind to send them back, but you must give me the budget, because I don't have money to send people back there. Then he said, no, put up a plan. I'm going to finance it. Then they said, okay, that's fine. And I told my deputy to prepare a plan. Now my approach, commissioners, was that I'm no longer going to be sending people, these 5 members, to investigate the 5 cases from RPM. I'm now going to put a bigger team that is going to deploy in this area and service other business people as well as a community in that area. So I must have a bigger team because there's drugs in there, there's hijackings and many other crimes that are happening, and RPM is not the only one that is affected. So while I'm preparing that plan, which the National Commission confirmed that the CFO is going to make money available for that. While I'm preparing that plan, I then I received a phone call from a commander of the Special Task Force at the time, Brigadier Gaffley. I had said earlier I worked in the task force. So task force members and myself, we communicate. Most of them have got my numbers, so they call me anytime. Brigadier Gaffley calls me, and he is at RPM. And he says to me, General, I'm here deployed at RPM. So when I ask him, what do you mean you deployed at RPM? RPM as the company mine? And he said, yes. So I asked him, but who's there? He said, no, it's myself and the NIU. Task Force and NIU are the fighting squad of the police. They are not investigators. They are the ones that do the dirty work. If we have to arrest someone, if to penetrate houses, they do that. They don't go and present cases in court. It's not their job. But they found themselves deployed in RPM. And he says to me, General, I'm told that there were detectives that were deployed here that you withdrew. Can you have those detectives back here? So, because there must be investigation done, and I don't have anyone who does investigation. So I said to him, no, I think you need to come and see me. So he drove down to Durban. When he arrived in Durban, and I asked him, but who deployed today? He said, no, I was deployed by my component head, General Zulu, who was a major general. She deployed us to come and work here, and I asked, so where are you deployed to? The entire area or RPM only? He said, no, RPM strictly. Our instruction is that you go to RPM, you don't work anywhere else. I was upset, of course, because I had planned, according to National Commission, I'm going to deploy. So I phoned my boss, I said, you are telling me about the deployment RPM, at the same time you're telling someone else. What's going on? And he said, no, I think we need to engage with Jar Musigidi, who's a deputy National Commissioner. And so I then decided to keep quiet. I released these detectives to Brigadier Gaffley. So he included them on his budget. They went back to RPM. So they sat there for the period.
And was this again to be RPM only, or was it now to be in accordance with your plan of servicing the entire area?
No, it was for RPM only. I can confirm that. So the members deployed there for, I think, almost a year. So RPM had the privilege of getting a SAPS deployment to service only them, which was funded at the national office. I'm sure the management of the police will come and explain as to what informed that and the cost that was spent on it, which was against my proposal. So they were there for RPM and nobody else but RPM.
You said this was a good few years back. Who was the national commissioner then?
The current national commissioner, Chara Masimula, was the boss. Commissioner, as I said, I had deployed in April 2021. They stay there for the whole financial year. A national commissioner gets appointed in 2022 as a national commissioner. When I'm getting this, when this deployment happens, he's now a national commissioner at the time. So this team had worked there. So they were, however, they were rotating in that place, but they were not talking to the district commissioner. They were not talking to me. So I had no clue what they were doing. The district commissioner had no clue what they were doing because we were divided into 11 districts. So I had someone who's managing the district. When this incident of the prison happened, the regional commissioner of correctional services woke me up with a phone call at night, and his question was, colleague, we are in the same security cluster. We are arresting one of my senior managers, and you don't even inform me. That courtesy, not that it's a must. So I was surprised. I said, but what are you talking about? I don't know any senior manager being arrested. He said, no, but the acting head of the facility at Mpangeni has been arrested. Because I did not know anything, I contacted the district commissioner, Major Jaron Ngubane. Major Jaron Ngubane did not have a clue of what's going on. Because he even said, I don't know what those members are doing if there's anything done by the RPM team, because I don't know. So he contacted the police station at Mpangeni, and he discovered that indeed there are these members from the head office that are sitting in KZN, deployed for RPM, that are at the police station with the intention to detain the acting head of the center.
This is Kalagabusha, as you said.
Yes. I have the contact details of one of the NIU members that is with that team, Captain Guna. So I phoned her. I think she was the only lady in that team. So I phoned her because I don't know the others. I know that she's in that team as well. So when I called her, I said, but are you part of this operation? She said, yeah, no. They called me, I said, I must come because apparently there's a lady in there, so I must join them in case we have to search and the likes. So I asked her, what was happening? She said, I can't explain. I don't even know where the background of this operation, but the commander is Colonel Mkhwanazi. You can explain. So she gave the phone to the colonel that was in charge of the operation. And Mkhwanazi is, I think, from Gauteng, somewhere in Johannesburg. So then the colonel explained to me what was happening. He said they received the information about the drugs at this house, inside the facility. So the correctional center has got one main gate with the fence, it's a compound. Inside the compound, you have a facility for correctional service where you have another access into. That's where the detained inmates are sitting. And then you have the office block, and then you have a residential area. But it's all in one area. So the question first I asked this colonel was, Colonel, you are arresting this acting prison head. What is the charge? Then he says to me, it's the possession of drugs and ammunition. Illegal possession of ammunition as well as illicit substance, which is drugs. So the first question was, how much of the quantity are we talking about here? They said, no, it's a handful. Not many, just capsules. So the first question was, do you know if it's drugs or not? Did you test that? And he said, no, I have not tested. He said, but you're going to put a charge on our register that is drugs. When it comes back for a forensic and it's proven that it's not drugs, what are you going to do? That was first a problem. The second was, before you did all this work, did you have a search warrant? And he said, no, we did not have a search warrant. I said, okay, it's fine, never mind. You've conducted a search without a search warrant. Where did you find this thing? Or explain to me what happened. He said, no, we arrived in the place, we're told there are drugs inside the house, we entered the house. And we searched the entire house inside. We didn't find anything. And we took this acting head of corrections, and we told her that she must go with us to the garage outside. And when they were walking to the garage, there was a dustbin.
Is this the garage of this same house?
Yeah, it's a garage, but it's not attached to the house. It's sitting on this. We have to get out of the house to get to the garage. So they wanted to go and search in the garage.
And the dustbin, where exactly was it?
The dustbin is in that yard, but yeah, somewhere between the garage and the house.
Same premises?
Same premises.
The acting head's premises?
Yes. So then they decided to stop at the dustbin. They searched the dustbin. Inside the dustbin, that's where they found the few rounds of ammunition as well as those handful of pills. And they decided to arrest her for that. So the question was, number one, do you know that she's the only one that has access to the dustbin, since the dustbin, you are saying, it's within the facility of correctional service? For you to get into the dustbin, is there any obstacle? Is there any fence, high wall fence or gate or whatever that gets access? So he said, no, it's easy for you. There's a fence, but it's low. You can just jump over and get to the dustbin because it's within the compound. Yes, she's responsible for that place because it's allocated to her, but the person who empties the dustbin, it's a correctional people. She doesn't take the dustbin to the road. They just come in and take a dustbin and go and empty it and come back. They come in and cut the grass, and of course it's within the facility. So she's not responsible for that maintenance per se. It's done by the correctional service. So I said, but Colonel, that means the likelihood is that many people had access to the dustbin. So the least you must do is to get forensic, because you did not invite forensic to that dustbin. Get forensic services to come there and do a touch DNA in the dustbin. So you can eliminate the people that touched it. Collect the DNA so you can be able to know who had access to this dustbin. Same with the container or plastic, whatever, that is carrying these drugs and ammunition you're talking about. Do a touch DNA so you can be able to know exactly who handled this thing. Then you can confirm if it's her or it's someone else. So my recommendation is that as a police officer, you have a responsibility to decide. But my recommendation is make an OB entry of what transpired, call forensic people to come to this house and do the touch DNA where you collected this and the crime scene management.
Would that still have worked at that stage? I imagine even their own hands now have...
they can be eliminated.
Isn't there contamination?
But that can be eliminated because it happens when you come in to do the job, the police will be there, their hands will be there. But when you do touch DNA, you're able to say who was here. Then you can eliminate that these are family members in this house and these police officers, and you can find a foreign DNA that was not supposed to be there, that could not be counted for, then you can be able to confirm. So if they will have done that, and every DNA that is there is for police officers and has, then the police officer has the right to say, beside us that came here, you are the only one that accessed. So therefore, it is yours. She can't deny it because she'll be the only one that access to that place. But the moment they find another DNA, that means they need to eliminate. They must then do further investigation to establish who had access to that place. So that is my advice to this kennel. I said, make an entry. Ask forensic to go and do it, that crime scene management on the DNA, on the dustbin. Take these exhibits that you received, because you don't know whether these are genuine drugs, and if it's drugs, what type of a drug it is. Send these pills to forensic so they can test them. Take this fire, ammunition is clear, you can see it's ammunition. Obviously, you might not know really where it comes from. That one you know, it's illegal. It's ammunition, it's illegal. You can't change it. But what we need to confirm now, whether is she the one to blame or not? Or is someone else that placed the ammunition there? And that's exactly what the colonel did. He made this OP entry, and those items were booked in the register, and they will have been sent to forensic. I don't know whether the forensic people were invited to come to the crime scene, but this is where they ended with that. Because I said they must reach as inquiry. Fast forward to that, Commissioner.
I have not read the OB entry, but does it contain this narrative or not necessarily?
Yes, it does, Commissioner. It says it is not clear here. You want me to read it on record?
That's why I did not read it. It's not that legible, yes.
Yeah. Do you want me to read it on the record, sir?
No.
Because I have it on my phone.
We'll ask the evidence leaders to share a legible copy.
Okay.
Thank you.
We shall do so, Chair. Thank you.
So, so as I said, Commissioner, the attached letter had supposed to have been signed, because it looks like the author was the same colonel. The letter was addressed to me, explaining exactly what he did, which was my directive. He was writing it to me, but he never signed it, and I never received it. And the OP entry, the entry it was made is as per my directive. So both of those were they were talking the same thing, that I had directed that must happen. But that is what basically it's containing. So my biggest complaint that I had.
Before you go to that complaint, so on your understanding, the charge that Mr. Mkhwanazi was warning you about, is it your understanding that it related to your, let me loosely call it, intervention?
Interference, basically, that's what defeating
the ends of justice. Yes. So on your understanding, is that what it related to? Yeah,
that's the only thing, Commissioner. So I explained all these things, Commissioner. That's why the message is this long. Because I felt that I must also express my opinion about this team. That they ended up doing something that is not in their mandate. They came here for RPM. And they're police officers, so when they get information, they must act on it. But after acting on it, they must follow the law. They cannot just jump and do something. So it mustn't be that they are sent to go and arrest a person, plant in evidence and arrest a person because maybe someone wants to deal with that person. It might as well be a correct information they received, that there are indeed drugs in there. But by the time they arrive there, those drugs might have been moved. So physical search of the drugs, you don't find them. But if you bring forensic to come and see whether they were drugs, they've got lights, they've got many things that can verify that there was something here that was moved. So that's what they could have done, and they didn't do that. So that's what I was advising them on, that the information might be correct, but you did not get what you're looking for. Hence, in the last paragraph of this annexure, if I read it on record, as I'm communicating to someone that already said, is close to the minister, confirmed by the CFO, the Chief of Staff, and I wrote here, the minister will learn the truth one day about that team which have been complaining that I make them conduct crime-fighting operations which are outside their mandate. Although when they want, they do such duties, e.g. this one which was carried out without my knowledge. So basically, I was trying to communicate to the minister via this Mkhwanazi, that there was this deployment at RPM that as a provincial commissioner, I don't know about it. I was not consulted. I'm not controlling. The district commissioner doesn't control. They report straight to the head office. I wonder whose interest is saving. And the complaint was the presidency complained. That's why we must now deploy. But the national commission maybe can explain that in details, because to date, I do not know what was the reason. And there was an intervention thereafter. I must say I was paraded by business people in that area complaining, why am I prioritizing RPM over them? And I told them straight, I don't know anything about RPM. They must get the minister to come there. Minister Tsele at the time, so the minister came, the national commissioner came. So we said, and there was a discussion that we need to reconfigure this and make it big and let it be under my command and it serve everyone else. So from that time, then it became my operation. But Commissioner, as I said, I was going to explain this thing later. In my statement is there. Maybe by the time we get there, we don't have to repeat it again because we've already spoken about it. Commissioner, the communication continued, as you can see here. Remember, he had sent me a lot of messages. I was responding on the first one about the case, but he had already sent me screenshots of crime intelligence briefing and the likes. And after responding to the one of the case, I then went to respond on the one which is on 318, the very first message. I was responding to the story now about the divisional commissioner where he was saying I must just check my standing with him, that yesterday he pushed a narrative about me on the CITs. So I responded.
Negative.
Yeah, negative.
Negative narrative.
Yeah, negative narrative. So I then responded that by asking him a question. And I read, what did he say about me? That's what I asked Mkhwanazi. Because surely Mkhwanazi was in that meeting. So I'm asking him, what did he say about me? I will expect Mkhwanazi was to respond to me directly about what did Khumalo exactly say about me, because if he was part of the meeting, you'll know the details. And his response, he responded to my previous issue of the defeating case on that long message, and he responded to that. He says, the minister is briefed. He has just arrived in Lusikisiki. This message is sent at 9:28 in the morning, on the same date that I spoke about, which is
the tense there is a bit sorry, General. I'm saying the tense there, the minister is brief, is a bit confusing. So I do not know whether he means that the minister, having arrived at Lusikisiki, he was now getting a briefing on what he had gone there for, or whether he meant that he had briefed the minister on your explanation about the Mpangeni case. I find this very confusing. You did not write it. Maybe you won't be in a position to shed light on it, but what was your understanding of it?
Commissioner, when you write on WhatsApp, a person sends you a WhatsApp. If you are responding to that WhatsApp, you click on that WhatsApp and you press reply. So it catches the top part of the original WhatsApp when you are typing.
Yes.
So when you read this, I want you to see the one that is not bright, that is on top.
No, yeah, I follow
so
that.
He was responding.
Yes, I actually do see the opener to your explanation.
Exactly. So he was responding to that.
I do see that he was responding to that. But what I'm saying is, when he says the minister is briefed, I don't know whether he means that he had since briefed the minister about or on your explanation?
Yes, Commissioner, we are only talking about what transpired, hence my last paragraph that says the minister will learn the truth.
Yes.
He's responding to that the minister is briefed. So I assume that the minister knows about what we're talking about. So he then follows that with another message, which I had sent at 9:26. He responded 9:29 when I asked him about the Khumalo story.
Thank you. Commissioner Baloyi is saying you, or the people doing this or running this for you, show some exhibits, but they do not show others. And maybe if there could be some consistency, are we showing or are we not showing?
Oh, quite appreciate it. It's a valid point. And perhaps I should warn us not to get as shocked as we did first time around, in case the technology gets the better of us. But we will try and project. We don't expect to be.
Yeah, we are at 318.
Yes.
Oh, sorry about this. Sorry about this. We may continue. Thank you.
Before we do, Chair, thank you, Chair. Commissioner Khumalo had indicated to us that it's the General's long response that he wanted perhaps projected before you move off this. It won't fit on the screen what you have, Commissioners. If you look at your version, it goes up to subs. So the last paragraph doesn't fit on the screen. So it's been up for some time, so we'll scroll down. And that last paragraph is the last paragraph of the message. Then we have caught up with your conversation with the General. Thank you, Chair.
Then we go on to 318.
Then we go on to 318.
You've gone past.
Unfortunately, we are working on the scrambled ones electronically as they were yesterday. Our files have updated, but not the electronic version, unfortunately. Now, your 318, as it currently stands, was not part of the original annexure, which is the electronic version.
Okay.
So we will stop projecting at this point. Otherwise, it only serves to confuse.
Perhaps Commissioner can guide them to say, go to the one that starts with the message, what did he say about me? So you're able to follow. It's the first message.
No, General, that's,
you
the,
don't have
that's the
the-
end of the annex,
In
the
the,
older annexure.
in the
Yes.
interest of time,
Absolutely.
maybe let's project where we can project properly. Let's leave
Okay.
it. Yeah.
I think that this is the last of the series in this annexure. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioners, if I may continue then, the message that he had sent, which I said earlier, The minister is briefed. He has just arrived in Lusikisiki. The minister on the day was visiting the incident that happened in Lusikisiki where many people were killed. So this was just another confirmation that this man knows exactly about the minister's movement. So he's either with him or he's informed about the minister's movement. That's why he can write messages like this. This was again to confirm that I have to trust that he's a person who's close to the minister. And when he responded to the message I sent him earlier of what did Khumalo say about me, his response was, Jen, which means general in abbreviation, Jen, this must be in your chest. So which means he wanted me to keep this secret. And I'm wondering now, why is he telling me if he doesn't want this thing to go public? And then my response, of course, because I wanted him to get me information, I said, trust me on this one. And then he wrote a message, which followed at the bottom of 318, which reads, I'm going to read it on the record. You are having your interest, and that maybe you are having your own cattle. You don't listen to the CI, that is crime intelligence. Then Masimula intercepted him. So, which means General Masimula was in that meeting as well. Also spoke about your provincial crime intelligence member. Remember, he is retiring. I think there's message missing there. He's retiring next month. And if we move to 319.
Can you please, in your own words, explain what the first part of this text means, starting from you are having right up to intercepted him? It's rather cryptic.
At the time, my understanding is that he's telling me that what was discussed in a meeting, which he sent me a screenshot on, the one that talks about crime intelligence policies, they were discussing me, about me not wanting to cooperate and working well with the head of crime intelligence in KZN. So that was my conclusion, that he was saying that I don't want to cooperate with them on information that they are giving me. I don't want to operationalize such an information. And that's why he even knows that the head of crime intelligence in KZN is going on retirement. So this is a person who knows everything about the police, even knows when is a person retiring.
Thank you. You may continue.
Yeah. So and then the following message on the next page, 319, I then asked him that please get me that presentation if there is one to confirm, or otherwise if there is any recordings. Because I wanted to get a proof that what was this presentation about that he has access to that I don't know. The response from him, what made me start connecting the dots. Remember we spoke about investigation and pictures starting to emerge. His response was nothing. General Khan will brief you next week. Now, Commissioner, I want to put on the record that I only know one General Khan within crime intelligence. He's a Major General Khan that was on the news not long ago. Some of the colleagues will know about the attendance of the EFF celebration last year, as well as the case that was alleged that Khan was involved in stopping the police when they were busy with the drug operation at Eratin in Johannesburg. When he sent me this, I then concluded that means General Khan is in that meeting. It is General Khan most likely that is feeding him with the information. That was my conclusion. Why would he choose General Khan to brief me if I ask for a presentation? But again, I don't have proof of it. It is him that is writing this message. But I guess with the investigation, we're going to see linkages about all these people within the police. And my response was, sure. And then he sent another one to say back in Joburg, and after that followed by phone calls, and there's many other communication that followed thereafter. I don't have to read all of them, Commissioners, as you can see that are following on those attachments. And as I said, General Khan has been on the news. He's a component head within crime intelligence. General Khan, when he sends me this message, General Khan was appointed his post that he's occupying as a component head at crime intelligence is an operational intelligence support within crime intelligence. But he was appointed acting as a component head of counter and security intelligence. When Khumalo arrived at crime intelligence, that was a position that General Khan was acting on. So Khumalo, I understand, he had moved him back into his old position. Counterintelligence, if I can indicate, Commissioner, is that the vetting is done at counterintelligence. Majority of operations like this drug cartel operation that is holding counterintelligence investigation, it's conducted in that office. So meaning it's a person who, it's an office that really is in the heart of intelligence operations. General Khan was acting there. General Khan has since been moved back into his technical support. I'm not saying that General Khan is involved in these leakages of information to the members of parliament and to the other people, but what is interesting is that almost everything that we see happening in parliament, in the media, comes from that component of crime intelligence. And this is where the real fight comes from. The operation of Gauteng counterintelligence that involves this drug cartel is in that component. So, and this is Mkhwanazi that introduces Khan to me. I said, Commissioners, I'm going to reflect to what happened in 2011, later on my statements. Crime intelligence, modus operandi back then, and players that were involved back then with the looting on the money and irregularities, they still exist at crime intelligence today, and some of them are occupying high position. So there has no reforms that has been implemented at crime intelligence. That's why it's no surprise when you start seeing things coming out. Like I said on record, I did not say that General Khan has leaked any information. It is Mkhwanazi that introduces Khan. I only know of one Khan at crime intelligence. So perhaps as we investigate further, we'll be able to see whether there's any leakages between these people. That information that is supposed to be within the confines of those four walls where the meeting was taking place ended up with Mkhwanazi. Commissioners, as I've outlined a lot of communications here with Mkhwanazi, if I can move faster, if you allow me to see on my statement, because I think a lot of things that we have spoken about here.
I think, General, you are now at 320.2. That would be the last page on this, of this annex.
I beg your pardon?
Page 320.2. Maybe.
Oh, no, I'm just talking, I'm going on my statement, trying to align myself with what is on statement.
You have covered your statement, that portion of your statement in its entirety, because of the conversation you were having with the chair, taking him through the various pieces of communication. I was just pointing out, with Mr. Mkhwanazi, I was pointing out that the only page of that annexure you haven't dealt with is page 320.2. And then you'll have caught up with what you have in your statement.
General, before you go with the evidence leaders directing you, at page 320, that extract of your communication with Mr. Mkhwanazi, there's where, right at the top where it's Brown Mkhwanazi, and I assume the message there is from him. Good day, General, met with a complainant. Did you ever come to know who was the complainant? And what was the complaint?
I did not know who the complainant is, Commissioner. You'll notice that there will be messages and phone calls that he will be making to me, which will be very short in seconds. But I never really got to know who the person is. The only person that I could relate to in his entire conversation I'm having with him is General Khan. That seems to be the contact person with him.
And the complaint would have been what? The defeating?
Even that, it did not explain to me who's planning this defeating. It did not say, it didn't say anything. I must maybe retract back. I'm going to maybe some reflection later as we maybe close the day or somewhere in between. We we're going to present a slide where we're not necessarily going to be talking too much on it, but we're going to just reflect on some things. And part of the system of protecting the drug squad, media plays part. Let me rephrase. Journalists within media houses, they are part of this in pushing certain narrative. Why I say this is because a very well-known veteran, Mzilikazi of Africa, had contacted me almost immediately after this incident happened of Impangeni. It happened beginning of the year last year. I think a month or so, he contacted me. He can come here and confirm that. He called me, contacted me, said, Gerald, I'm hearing that you interfered with the police operation. And what is going on? So I explained to him the details of what transpired. He understood. Then he said, okay, well, there's some stories and there's nothing wrong. So he did not publish that. Later in the year, which I suppose maybe this is why Mkhwanazi is coming to me with this, is that first General Cele calls me, he's a former minister, he calls me and he says the Premier of Gauteng have approached him to go and work in Gauteng to help him fight crime in Gauteng. Therefore, he needs General Khumalo, who's a district commissioner and ex-task force commander in KZN, to come and work with him in Gauteng. And I find it strange because I think he called 2 or 3 times. While I was in a meeting, I kept giving the phone to one brigadier who was with me in the meeting. And after that, I had a conversation with General Cele, and then he pleaded with me to release this general to come to Gauteng. And my surprise was, but when General Cele was in the police, he did not like the general, Khumalo. He didn't like him at all. So why now that he's out of the police, he trusts Khumalo to come and work with him in Gauteng? It was just strange. And I turned to my colleague, Jaron Hua, who was with me in a meeting. This was in Durban. Jaron Hua works at the head office from HR. So I turned to her and said, but I received a strange call here. General Cele is asking me to approach Khumalo, who's a district commissioner in Zululand, to come and work with him in Gauteng, meaning he must resign from the police and go and work in Gauteng with him for 5 years, then he'll come back into the police, which was very odd. And Jaron Hua was also confused. He said, but as far as I know, Cele didn't like Khumalo. And he made all of us at the head office to believe that Khumalo is a bad person. Why will he now suddenly want Khumalo to work with him? So it was just a strange call. I then contacted Gerald Khumalo. He's a major general. I phoned Gerald Khumalo and said, Gerald Khumalo, this is a request I received from Gerald Cele. Gerald Khumalo just laughed and he said, well, don't worry, the general is not serious about that. So I asked him, what do you mean? He said, no, he's not serious. He wants me to back off on the case against Khan, General Khan from Crime Intelligence. So Cele is pursuing Khumalo to resign from the police so that he can stay away from the disciplinary case because he was appointed to deal with that case departmentally against General Khan. So Khumalo says, no, this is the approach of Cele to want me to back off. And that got me so upset, commissioners, that can really General Cele go to the extent of wanting a person to resign from the service because he wants to protect someone? It was very strange. I did not talk to General Cele from the day. I did not talk to him. I was very upset. It disappointed me as a person who's a former minister in the police. I was just upset. Fast forward, commissioners, the police have got 2 disciplinary processes. It's what's called expeditious, and the other one's a normal disciplinary process. Expeditious, you basically, in short, I could say, we're already saying to you, you are guilty of an offense. Come before a presiding officer to explain why you say you're not guilty, in a way. But in a normal process, the employer must present the allegations, and you have a chance to cross-examine witnesses and argue a case. And then you have a presiding officer that must decide. So the initial disciplinary procedure that was initiated for General Khan on that interference with the drug in Johannesburg was that of a expeditious process. So Khumalo was then appointed as a person who's going to preside over that. And Major General Khan approached the court granted, they overturned that and they said, no, we must go to a normal disciplinary hearing where he has a right to be represented and bring witnesses and question the witnesses and so forth. And therefore, there must be presiding officer appointed. Then Gerald Kumalo, the Divisional Commissioner of Crime Intelligence, approached me and he asked me to be a presiding officer. I then agreed. Shortly after agreeing to be presiding officer, not long after that, I started getting this communication from Mr. Mkhwanazi. But at that time, I'm not understanding as to what this communication, what is the background of this communication. But he started communicating these things to me. That's why he throws Gerald Khan's name in it. And later, I think, I cannot remember exact date, I think it will have been the beginning of the year, I received an inquiry. Actually, I received a phone call from the very same journalist, Mzilazo Africa. His call was, you remember the story I asked you about of what happened in Bangin? I said, yes. He said, but my colleague has just approached me, confronted me about that story and is asking him, why didn't he publish the story? And he said, no, but there was no story there. I listened to this thing and it just didn't make sense. Somebody is trying to peddle and frame Jerome Kwans for nothing, so I didn't publish this. And in his own words to me, Mzilazo Africa was, this colleague of his says to him, now I'm forced to publish the story. And Mzilazo found it strange, so he called me first. He said, hey, who did you upset somewhere in the police? Then I said, no, I don't know anything. They said, but is anything happening in the police that will lead people to want to publish this thing that is a year later, so old, that want to publish? Then I said, well, the only thing I know is that I'm going to be presiding over a disciplinary case. So he asked me, whose disciplinary case is that? I told him it's for Gerald Khan. He said, oh, no, now I connect the dots. Because my colleague and Gerald Khan are close. It could be coming from there. That is his words. Mzilikazi will come here and say that. But I told him that I'm going to talk about this. He said, no, if he's called here, he will come and talk about it. I know who the colleague is. I'm not going to say it in public. He will perhaps, if you want to divulge that, he will. That's why I'm saying there are players within the media houses that are part of. So shortly after that, I received a message from the very same colleague of Mzilikazi. He sent me a question about the same incident. I gave him a full explanation as I did here to Bran Mkhwanazi. A full explanation. A logic journalist will have understood and said, okay, well, this is just a malicious thing, and don't publish that. But that finds itself to the newspaper on a Sunday. Commissioners, it is fair. That's why I like the investigative journalists. I think they're credible because they investigate first before they talk. I like the ones on TV behind cameras because they give it as is. The others that will just get information from others and write it becomes question marks, which what happened to this one.
And which Sunday publication was there?
I know the name of the journalist. I cannot remember exactly the Sunday, the paper. I don't want to, I might end up being sued if I mention the wrong name here. But I know the name of the journalist, so I can give you the name of the journalist.
You said you are not divulging it.
Yeah, I'll give you the name of the journalist, you'll write, and you'll see the trend throughout, up to now. It's the same journalist that is part of the squad. Well, there are others that are linked with him, but he's the main one. So the story goes out, commissioners, to the newspaper. It's an allegation that was made by Mkhwanazi that someone wants to open a case against me. Now, in the newspaper is my full picture there, and the big heading, allegations against Jerome Mkhwanazi defeating, and they write the story of what happened. They, of course, write my response. So, but the problem is, it is my face there, not the complainant. It's my face that is there. The heading creates question marks about my integrity as a person, as a senior officer in the province. They put my full response on the paper. So a person who reads the paper will get to understand the context of this heading and the story. They will be fine with it. But for you to get into a newspaper, must subscribe, must pay money. Some of us don't necessarily subscribe to papers. But there is social media that is free. Now, on the social media, they take the heading because you are limited on what you write in there. they take the heading of allegations that General Mkhwanazi is accused of defeating end of justice against a drug dealer at Kalagabusha. And that goes into their media account, social media account. And that which spreads like wildfire because people access it easy. Remember, they don't have a privilege of reading the full report that is on the paper. They are just taking it from this headline. And the picture is painted. Mkhwanazi is a bad person. And they're achieving what they want. So I took it as a pressure for me to back off from the case that I was going to preside over of General Khan. How do I prove that? Is because General Khan's lawyers, they even wrote to me on emails and said, there's these things about you on the media, so we are in doubt of your independence in dealing with Khan. They wrote to me that, and that's what they said on email. So that's when I deducted that, oh, the pressure was for me to back off on this disciplinary case. So what Kumalo told me that they were wanting him to resign because they wanted him to back off on the case. So why will they go all out to try and get us to back off on the case against General Khan? I'm an independent person. Yes, I know General Kumalo is my colleague, but I'm not going to go and go with what Kumalo perhaps might want to do in dealing with Khan. Mine is to follow the policy and the law. So we arrive in a
So you simply responded to the journalist's questions, and you did not engage the journalist on what Mr. Africa had said, which was that this journalist was saying they were under pressure to publish the story. You did not engage the journalist on that.
No, I didn't. I didn't engage the journalist, Commissioner. I only gave a full response on the question he asked me. Gave a full response. He took that response as is to the paper. But the problem is my photo and everything is there. So the damage is going to be there either way. Whether I'm responding, but my face is already on the paper. And on the social media account, that short summary of it, it's the one that is trending. Not the full response that I provided. It's not there on social media. So, which means they achieve what they wanted, paying me a bad person. And you can Google, you'll find me protecting criminals, drug dealers of Kalagabusha. It's there.
And
Which
those captions usually attract me to stories, but when I scroll down, I can't read because it requires that I be a subscriber. Which most of the time I'm not.
The same as me, Commissioner, majority of the people in the country, they don't necessarily subscribe to papers, but they rely on that first caption and makes a story. Maybe 2 days later, they put a full story when it's old. Then you can read it without having to pay. But it's all news by then. So, and I could see that the whole idea was just, let's tarnish this man's image. And that's all. So that's what they did. They created a doubt. So fast forward, the disciplinary case comes, and I believe I was fair to General Khan. Despite the allegations that came from IPID, I still protected his rights. I allowed him to bring his lawyers in there. I sat and I listened to the evidence that was provided. The very same General Kumalo that was asked to resign was representing the employer. General Khan had his legal team, and there were witnesses that were brought to come and testify. I could not find a single wrong that General Khan has done. In actual fact, I even said there in my own words that the SAPS owes General Khan for what he did, because General Khan stopped police officers that came to collect drugs under the person who was the head of traffic Gauteng. They came to collect a consignment of drugs from the truck that arrived in Germiston, and they wanted to get drugs from there. And the people that are owning the truck company, they said, no, you're not going to take these drugs, search this truck from here, follow it to the final destination, which is in Eratin, which is a West Rand. So 2 police officers, 1 Johannesburg traffic, and 1 captain from Zongezizwe, they followed the truck until it arrived at Eratin, and they were accompanied by 3 members from Pretoria, who traveled all the way there. 1 from organized crime, 2 from the dog unit. And they all said they were coming to search the truck. And they actually offloaded the consignment from the truck, which was drugs, in bags. They took this thing and they loaded in the police car. Luckily, the lady that worked in that company contacted 10111. 10111 called Boysen police station. Boysen vehicle came there, and then there was a conflict between the police when they discovered that these policemen who says they're running these operations, they're already removing these consignment from the truck, they're loading it in a police park. So these policemen asked, but this is a crime scene. Why are you taking this thing from here to here? If you're saying it's drugs, we have not even opened the bags. How do you know? If it is drugs indeed, why do you load them in the park? And this one said, no, we're taking them to Zongezizwe. And this one said, but this is Boysen area. Why do you take this thing to Zongezizwe? It's found here, it's a crime scene. Get LCRC and everyone to deal with it. Then there was a conflict between police at the time, and that police member who was present there took the vehicle, police vehicle, and he blocked this police car that was already loaded with drugs. He blocked it so that it doesn't move. And that's what allowed the other police officers to phone General Khan and say, there are members that claim to be from crime intelligence, they come and intervene. So he traveled all the way, he arrived almost 2 hours later. And he put a stop from these drugs to be stolen. He phoned DPCI, he phoned the local provincial crime intelligence, they came and took over the scene and he left. But it was then strange as to how do you blame Khan for that? Because he stopped the people that wanted to steal drugs. He stopped it. So he was in a good space at the time, so I couldn't fault him. But that, Commissioners, doesn't take away the fact that Mkhwanazi says Khan will brief me about secret information that was discussed in the presentation. So while I'm having this belief that Khan has got to do with leaking of the information in there, perhaps according to Mkhwanazi, but on the disciplinary part where Khan was accused of drugs, he did not do anything wrong. So if I had that bad intention against Khan, I would have dismissed him. But I did not, because I gave him fair disciplinary hearing, of which you can ask him today, he will tell you, no, I treated him fair. Commissioners, that was the last time the media started writing about me. That made me confirm that, oh, my being in the media so bad, it was because of the anticipation that this is what I was going to do. And in actual fact, after that, I even received a message from Honorable Adams in Parliament who said, no, you good cop, you did well. Which I find strange. But nonetheless, we proceed with the presentation, Commissioner. I don't want to bore you with anything. I'm just reflecting to some things that we're dealing with as we are trying to bring you closer to why we are putting these names together and the picture that we're trying to paint.
General, before you move on, I think Commissioner Khumalo would like to pose a question to you.
Thank you, Professor. General, for my benefit, in paragraph 197 of your statement, because MK17 is a communication between you and Mr. Mkhwanazi starting from the 30th of September to the 2nd of October, 2024. I'm just trying to establish when that conversation with Mr. Nkabinde happened and what was the nature of the conversation.
Okay, Commissioners, I might have placed this paragraph like this, but Brown contacts me and he tells me about him with the minister and all that. Immediately, that day, I called Nkabinde because I wanted to establish. This is last in September, somewhere about October. That's when I phoned Nkabinde to ask, but who is this gentleman? And Nkabinde said, no, Brown is a friend of the minister, but is not employed in the department. Because I will assume if he's employed, there is an advisor of the minister, and Nkabinde will have records. But Nkabinde said, no, he's not employed in the police, but he's close to the minister. So I had no reason not to believe Nkabinde, because that's what he told me. And I actually asked Nkabinde to send me Brown's number. He did send me the number to confirm it's the same number that I have. That's why I went to verify that is it registered under Brown's name.
So you say you also got the same number from the minister's chief of staff?
That's exactly. The chief of staff gave me the same number. So,
General, if I may, because the Commissioner has led you to that point, that would have completed MK17. But if I can ask us to take a step back for the sake of completeness and deal with the last piece of MK17, that communication between yourself and Mr. Mkhwanazi, And I take it that that perhaps might just take us to tea, so when we come back, then we progress his statement, and technically that would be from 199. Just to recap, General, you had dealt with what's on the screen now. Yes, where you missed call. Do you see at the bottom 320? It ends with a missed call and a start of congratulations, you are going to a safe country or something, or to save the country. So when we go over, we are now at page 320.2. That would be the next page. And that badly captured message at the bottom of the previous page is what's at the top. Starting with it's a missed voice call first, then the message, congratulations, you are going to save this country. Have you found your place? Okay. Then you can talk to this particular slide, and that will be the end of MK17.
Thank you so much, Commissioners. Commissioner, I had, from time to time, this Mr. Brown Mkhwanazi will communicate with me. I might just apologize. I think maybe there might be one page missing again on the attachment, as he's going to kill me now. That's why I'm asking for my phone. I don't know how it got missed. But
May I suggest then, is it a page that precedes 320?
No, it's after. It's after. Yeah, because the last conversation that I had with Brown was on the 3rd of July, 3 days before I went public.
Okay, can I suggest then we deal with 320.2, which is what we currently have on our record?
Yeah.
Then you will speak to the one that you say is missing, provide us, and we'll once again update your files. We hope that will then complete the picture. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioners, as you'll see, the last part of 3201, where the message was sent on the 10th of April 2025, this year, at 17:13 in the afternoon, and Brown sent me a message saying, "My General," and I responded by saying, "Yes, sir." Towards the end of the page, "Yes, sir." And then he tried to call me. I did not take that call. And the next message starts there, but it follows to the next page. I think it's written better on the second page, where he says, "Congratulations, you are going to save this country." I asked him, "How so?" And he says, "Standing on your ground." I immediately assume at the time, this is April, Commissioner, you will recall that on the 5th of March, I had appeared before the Portfolio Committee on Police, where I narrated the relationship between Brown and the minister, that the minister has denied knowing Brown in Parliament on record. If you so wish, you can access the YouTube and go to the records of Parliament, the Portfolio Committee on Police, on the 5th of March 2025. And that recording, if you get it on YouTube, is at 4 hours, 26 minutes, where my presentation comes in towards the end of that sitting of the Portfolio Committee. I think I spoke for plus minus 30 minutes plus there. So where I explain not only the issue of Brown Mkhwanazi, but the wrong things that are happening in the organization, where I even made reference to me reliving the experience I had in 2011. I presented it there before this Portfolio Committee. Now, I assume Portfolio Committee in Parliament are responsible for sharing this information with the Speaker, and the members of Parliament then must interrogate that. But unfortunately, that was the first and the last time I engaged with the Portfolio Committee on these matters of this serious interest. I'm aware they invited me to come back and talk to them about it. Maybe we'll engage with them when you get there, because I already presented something to them, and I must go back again and repeat the same thing. But nonetheless, the minister had denied knowing this person, which later the minister had confirmed to know the person when he was having a conversation with someone under the X platform.
You give a time where you start speaking on YouTube. Are you able to give a time where the minister made the denial? If you can't, it doesn't matter.
Chair, perhaps I may be of assistance. That is in his statement, and he's still to get to that part. I understood the general to be summarizing
All right, thank
what
you.
had transpired, presumably that triggered what he has here at page 320.2 from Mr. Mkhwanazi, saying, congratulations, you are going to save the country.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
With that summary, the chair might not be aware, but certainly Commissioner Khumalo is. It's 11 o'clock. We're in your hands, Chair, how we deal with this.
Let us take the. Sorry, perhaps we stop.
We're in your hands,
we
Chair.
stop
Thank
the
you.
general midway. Maybe, General, if you could finish the part that you were dealing with, and then we may adjourn where you think it's convenient.
Okay. No, I think this what what the SC was.
Yes, you were at the point, I think, where you were saying the minister denied.
Yes.
Yes,
So-
in
so-
Parliament.
Yes. So when he sends me this message of saying standing your ground, I assume that he's referring to that session we had in Parliament. Hence, I responded to that message, which a response follows that it's so unfortunate that it has come to this for doing what we are employed to do without any favor. So that's me writing to him. And his response was, no, General, I think there is a misconception. And I asked him to elaborate. And he says, there will be time one day, my brother. I have a funeral in Limpopo and we're burying next week. And I responded to him, please accept my condolences for your loss. And that's why we ended the communication with him at the time. So that's why I said, fast forward to that. There is other, maybe during the break, we might want to make copies of that, which then comes in later up until July.
Thank you. Let's take the adjournment now and resume at 11:15.
Thank you, Chair.
11.